with a 3-person board, we do have a quorum. So
That's
with the
right.
quorum, I will go ahead and call the April 17th meeting of the Jericho Selectboard to order at 6:30 p.m. In order to make our meetings more efficient, we are limiting public comment to the beginning of the meeting. The public to be heard section. Select board meetings are in the public, not of the public. Tonight, we will allow. Put it. But there will occasionally be agenda items where we ask for public comment. Tonight, the Help Jericho flooding issue, we may allow some public input, and potentially the 30K to spend on speeding item that's later on the agenda. However, with Peter here, it may be one that we decide to discuss at the next meeting. We'll see if he's able to come or not, and we could always talk about it and talk about it again next week like that. So for public to be heard, you have 3 minutes. Please try to be civil. Please do not use the chat on Zoom for anything other than technical issues. Things like I can't raise my hand, I can't come off mute, things like that. Please do not chat on there because it is very distracting. And so with that, we will start the meeting off with public to be heard. Is there any public to be heard?
No, nothing online either.
Hearing no public to be heard, we'll move on to our first agenda item, which is discuss and consider approval of a foot race happening on Old Pump Road. GMAA Pump It Up Race happening on May 10th at 9 a.m.
I am Liz Hollenbach.
Hi, Liz.
I'm representing the race. I brought some information. Would you like me to hand it over?
Sure. Do you want to sit at our little guest chair? Liz?
It might be helpful to have all the details on paper
Okay.
Yep,
and of course map.
and then you'll talk about it as well.
And I'll talk about it as well. I'll probably talk about a lot of the details that are on. So,
That's good though.
You can leave 2 for Peter there too, who just in case he comes in later.
I don't have an extra course map
Oh,
at the
that's
moment. My printer decided to give up about halfway through.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Liz, I'm also online if you need anything.
Okay, hi Carrie. Okay, so we are asking, Carrie is online. She and I are the volunteer race directors for Green Mountain Athletic Association 5-miler, which is May 10th, and we are asking for permission to use Old Pump Road for this event. GMAA is the local all-volunteer running club in Chittenden County, and this race has morphed from something called the Partners Race, which used to be in Jericho Center, over to Pump It Up 5-miler, which is an out and back race on Old Pump Road. And we usually have about 100 racers. We use the elementary school for parking and like packet pickup in the morning. And then we all proceed across the road. And the start is right in front of Palmer Lane Maple at 9 a.m. All the racers, we kind of take over the road for a minute or two. The racers start. The course goes down Old Pump Road and crosses into Essex and turns around on Sippy Hollow Road, and then comes back the same exact way. I did a little research and looked at like when our fastest runners and slowest runners are, and the fastest runner is about 28 minutes, and then the slowest is about 1 hour and 21 minutes. It's a pretty, we don't have a lot of stuff out there, and pretty much when the last person crosses, we are cleaned up and out of there. So we're pretty much out of there by 10:30, meaning the spot on Old Pump Road, kind of between the post office parking lot and Palmer Lane Maple.
Have you
Yeah.
done this race there before?
We have.
We don't.
I would say we've done it for about 10 years. on
Okay.
Old Pump. Before it was in Jericho Center, and then about 10 years ago, it moved to Old Pump.
Yeah,
I
okay,
remember once they came in.
okay, because yeah, I hadn't remembered. This
Yeah,
is my
so-
4th year serving, and I didn't remember like talking about this before,
Right.
so,
And Carrie and I have never come to the select board to ask permission.
oh, lucky you. You just did it.
But we see it as our oversight.
Ah, okay,
And now we, like, of course, this is like, yes, this is something we do. The previous race director, it sounds like maybe she came in and the select board was like, oh, it's not a big deal. Yes. It sounds like most of the races in Essex, so don't worry about it. I don't know, but,
I would say we would contact the town hall, and I did the first 2 years I had it. And then they said, no, most of it's in Essex. And so you need to contact Essex. So we file all the paperwork with Essex for the usage permit.
for Essex.
how far down is the Essex line?
A half a mile down the race course.
It's only half a mile down, wow.
Yeah, it's like after you cross the bridge, it's like on that flat section just after the bridge. Before you even hit the hill, you hit Essex.
The bottom, it might
I
be.
thought it was a little further than that, because I know somebody that lives,
It's at that place that used to be like greenhouses
Mhm,
on the
mhm.
left. I don't
Yeah.
know what that was.
Oh, yeah, it was greenhouse, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty much the town line. So,
all right. Okay,
we,
what do
we
you
have-
do for, like, do you put up signs? Like, hey, warning, there's a race, like? what-
so we post on Front Porch Forum.
Yep,
We put up signs, we have mile markers that, and caution runners on the road signs. We have volunteers on course in a couple locations. We have a volunteer with a reflective vest at the turnaround. So where anyone would be like entering the course, from the Essex side. We have volunteers at a water table, which is kind of in one location, but runners hit it twice. And then, anyone coming from Route 15 sees us and volunteers at the finish line and start line and sort of aware that something's happening.
I would say the other thing is Essex tells us to keep all the runners on one side of the road. So they're on the left going out and on the right, their right coming back. So they all stay, they're supposed to all stay on that side of the road.
You know, the location and time of day and lots of things are on purpose because it's a quiet road, it's not a through road, no heavy traffic, and time of day is, you know, not a busy time of day or day of the week.
not a ton of hills either, right? Or maybe runners like the hills.
This is a tough one if it's warm out. It's like the first race of the spring and it can be hard.
Yep,
Well, it is supposed to be, well, who knows what's gonna be on the.
Yeah, it's a couple weeks away.
so I know you've done it lots of years, it sounds like there haven't been issues, that's good to have some history. First immediate concern is, we get quite a lot of feedback about the parking situation at the very start of Old Pump Road. So how well do your participants adhere to parking at the elementary school?
We cone off, so. Yeah, we work with Palmer Lane, we work with Colleen, let her know when the race is every year. First thing we do in the morning is actually cone off all the parking there. And nobody parks there except we bring one like race vehicle over. Nobody parks there. You know, sometimes on Saturday mornings, the post office lot has some activity and we cone that off, so we don't park there either. Yeah.
Have you chatted with road crew about it? Any concerns on their side?
I haven't.
Any questions?
Well, you asked mine was, how are they gonna handle the road situation?
Mhm.
They're on the other side, the parking at Palmer Lane, and did we need a road closure at all? So, answer those questions. Some we have to road close,
Mhm.
but since it's been going on for as long as it has, sounds pretty
Right.
safe. There hasn't been obviously a whole lot of pushback here, otherwise we would have heard about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Keep safety in mind and
Mhm.
the more publicity, the better.
Okay.
Um,
So I will make a motion to approve the 5 miler event with the Green Mountain Athletic Association on May 10th from 9 to 10:30.
I'll second. I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Got yourself a race.
Perfect.
Good
Thank
luck.
you so much for
Thank you.
coming in.
I have one.
Thank
more.
you.
That was helpful to come in and bring this.
That one, the other one on May 18th, it stated in the Front Porch Forum that it was just going to be on the paths. Is that correct?
So, the 1 mile is on the paths and then the 5K does go in neighborhoods.
Oh, okay. So this is another one, but I had seen on Front Porch Forum, it didn't state that it went into different neighborhoods. So if you want to talk about that, that's.
You know, get into organizing something and you organize multiple of the similar event in town. So once I heard that, we were requested to be here for the Pump It Up, I thought it was probably important to, just put this other event out there, to the select board. So this is the 9th year of the Jericho Elementary School Farm to School Fun Run and Walk, which starts and finishes right at JES. And it's, Sunday, May 18th. And there are 2 different events. One is a 1 mile fun run and walk, which is on the Jericho Rec Path, 2 laps. And then there's a 5K, which goes in both Griswold neighborhood, comes back through the JES path, and then goes around Sunnyview. So, town roads, I thought it was probably,
That one's a little, well,
It's not-
I've participated in
Yeah.
that one and seen both of them. I think I did just the 1 mile. But that one is even less, to me, a little even less concerning
Yeah.
because it's not, you're starting off of, you're not
Mhm.
starting
On
on
the
the
road.
town
Mhm.
road.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes into it a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah, that's what I thought
and
too.
again, we have volunteers at all the intersections and, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's pretty safe on the weekend in neighborhoods where people are walking dogs,
yeah.
kids are biking all the time, so it's pretty common to have people on roads.
Yeah, that's a great one. I don't think we need.
What date is that one?
It's May 18th.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank
So-
you.
we don't need to do any.
So we.
I mean, we don't have an agenda item.
It's
for
not
that
on there,
topic
yeah,
one, so-
yeah.
But we can,
Say, sounds good.
I think
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
then do an official.
we can do an official one next. It's just a technicality on our end, so we have
Oh,
to
it's not on
something
there.
that shows
Right.
on the agenda, because it wasn't
Yes.
specifically
No,
listed, so if someone went to look
Had
for
asked
it.
for it to be put on there, but.
Yeah, I
got
put it on
confusing.
and then I went back and I
Yeah.
was looking for it to get more information. And I had seen the Front Porch Forum and it just said on the trails. So I'm like, okay, then we don't need it on there. So I had it and then took it off.
I really don't.
I don't either. I don't either.
It's
I
fine.
don't either.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's 98%.
Yeah.
within Jericho
Yes,
Elementary School,
yes,
and if it
exactly.
isn't, it's like,
For sure.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next up on the agenda is a discussion and consider approval to apply for funding for the group Help for Jericho, residents on Nashville Road flood from July 10th, 2024.
Hello again, everybody. Yeah, so I don't know how much you need me to get into sort of revisiting our previous discussion we had about what's going on at the Jericho, or just sort of talk
Sorry,
about more
can
recent
you start with your
developments.
name?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm Patrick Reed,
Patrick Reed.
the resident
Remember
that
names. Right, so you're here You applied for, seems like there was an application for a grant, which we had agreed to. The application. And now we're trying to, the discussion is about how we move forward on that.
So, and the project itself has changed slightly since when we were here in November. Once EWP got involved, they came out and looked at the site. I think there was also additional like LiDAR measurements done to view elevation changes, all this other stuff. Their conclusion was that for this project to have any real impact, the channel would need to absolutely be dredged to create more capacity. Basically, essentially where it's at now, the silt from this previous event had filled it so much that the elevation change between the brook and the bank is just like, if you build up the bank, it's really not going to do anything because there's no capacity there. That also did mean that that work would fall under sort of the purview of what the EWP does. Like that is the type of work they do, which is why we got that letter saying that this would be, we could proceed with a grant application. All
Is that the majority of the work, is the dredging?
I think that's unclear. I don't think we have a lot of details on. I think that is a big chunk of the work, like the part of the stream bank that would be sort of like filled in. Most engineers we've talked to are like, well, you just fill it in with stuff you're dredging out. So it's not like you're getting a ton of fill to like build up the riverbank and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I suspect the dredging is a big chunk of the project.
Yeah, 200 feet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know how that is relatively speaking.
It's on the,
It's on the,
it's stream bank protection and debris removal. Excavate 200 feet of channel to restore capacity. Install riprap plug, fill in scour, seed and mulch, and remove woody debris.
Sorry, which page is that on?
It is on, and it's in the application, and it's probably, I don't know, it's like 5 or 6 pages.
I put mine as the very first, right after your place in my packet.
Probably the 9th page in. It tells you what the amount is, the estimated cost.
I saw that.
what,
Yep.
I'm sorry, I looked for that and I don't know if I screwed up looking at the document or just didn't see it. What's the
Yep.
estimated cost?
He's got on here, the estimated construction cost is
Okay.
$50,096. And there's that, so the NRCS would pay the 75% and the sponsor share is 25%.
So that's where our challenge comes into, is that share, right? What proposal do you have for that 25% share?
How much is the 25% share?
12,000.
Yep.
So it's there, so the total cost is $50,096. The NRCS cost share is 75%, so they're covering $37,572, and that leaves the cost of the sponsor share. So somebody's got to come up with the $12,524.
Right. Yeah, I apologize for coming. Paula sent us this, and when I was looking through it, I don't know. Well, it didn't seem that long. That's what threw me off. I was like, this is like one page. So I don't know what happened there.
Right.
I don't believe we ever considered that like we would expect this to be fall entirely on or really what the town's contribution would be. I know one thing that came up in discussion around these types of grants in the past was sometimes labor could potentially be part of the in-kind contribution, and at that point you folks seemed like, well, if the town could do some of the work and that counted towards that 25%, that would be something you'd be willing to do, which would be, certainly we would appreciate that. I don't know what the town has done in similar situations, what sort of the precedent is around these types of projects.
Yeah, the most recent, yeah, go ahead. She's better with the details than I am.
There have been several projects like this that use EWP
Mhm.
fundraising. And for all of them, because these are private entities and not the municipal issue. We've always required an MOU that lets the applicant, the people actually receiving the work, be the ones paying for it.
Mhm.
There has, with the Old Red Mill, it was a little fuzzier because, you know, it's an icon for this town, and so the town has done some work. But for homeowners association that had another issue with their stream bank deteriorating, they paid the full freight.
Okay.
Very similar.
Yep.
Same kind of thing. a flood,
Yeah, for
a
sure.
washout.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, so in this case where also like the Leary Nashville Road intersections also being impacted, would the town consider participating in part of that 25%, if not full necessarily, but contributing to that to reduce the sole cost, since if we are not able to do anything about that, they've had to at least repair that area once since they put in that culvert. And there was indications that during the spring flooding that it was going over Leary over the night and eroding the opposite side of Leary Road from that area. So it's going to continue to be a cost to the town if it doesn't get fixed.
We are working
Yeah, it's-
with FEMA on Leary Road in 2 sections.
Mm-hmm.
That is still being a work in progress. One is a culvert, cross culvert. And the other, it might be 2 cross culverts. I'd have to look back,
I
but
think it might be.
yeah, that's what we're doing with Leary.
But is that addressing the water that comes into that Leary Nashville intersection though?
Yes, one of them will. Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So I mean, it's something.
So is that where I guess for some reason I pictured the flood further down. Where.
It
the
did, but
Brook is further in, right? From
yes,
Nashville, Leary, and the bridge is.
way down.
There's a lot of water that runs over.
And so our FEMA work is at the intersection?
We did some work right now. We did some work at that intersection of Nashville and Leary. We put in, we dug out ditching and we put in a bigger cross culvert across Nashville. So Jacob is still working on Leary Road with FEMA. We still have to get permits and stuff for.
And that is something that, you know, the town could consider, but, you know, because we are working there, but on the other hand, we're certainly not going to do the full freight.
Okay, so.
So right- We
work
worked
is
there,
here,
we worked there,
and
yep.
Your work is where?
And then there's also, if you're coming down, there's gonna be another cross culvert. This is the bridge, I believe. I'm not sure, I can't
So you're
really
looking
see.
at, Bentley
Oh,
Lane. So if you
oh,
keep
boy.
going
Yeah, yeah.
down Nashville.
I know, right?
Sorry.
That intersection.
Yeah, there you go.
That's-
That's the intersection that was worked on. However, there's gonna be that's where the water came across in that field.
Yeah,
They're gonna
it's
be
all
working,
here.
yep, that whole, on the right-hand side.
Okay,
Yep. So they're gonna be putting in 2 cross culverts there on that road.
so crossing Nashville or crossing Leary?
Nope, Leary. Right across Leary Road.
And that's just to help the water to get from one field to the other, basically?
Yep,
when-
and,
when it
and,
floods?
yeah,
Oh, okay. And then the work you're talking about is.
nope, go back,
Slightly north.
keep
Or
going, go,
up.
yep, now go across over on the right-hand side. Yep, keep go. So
Where is it?
keep going. Kind of a, yep,
You can see where the pool is right at the top of your screen now.
Right.
It's just below that. It comes.
yep.
Right here?
Yeah.
So
That's
the,
nowhere near Leary Road.
no,
water
the brook comes down
all the
and
way up.
kind of swirls down underneath that bridge.
Okay,
If
so
if I might, and actually, you know, it comes down here. And it also comes across this field and
Mhm.
through where we live, right in front of the house and the barn.
mhm.
And it comes like, it's a river, and it comes. It heads right across this field right there.
So does this dredging, what do they think that just reduces the amount of flooding? Like, it seems like it's gonna still flood.
Right, so what it does now is like any of the rain we've had over the
You were
last.
saying
few
last
weeks.
time, like almost any,
It's
once it
anything,
happened,
yeah.
like everything floods it.
So like, it would, when the snow melts in the spring, it's gonna probably overtop still.
Mhm.
In addition to like outside of like the work to get because right now there's just no riverbank there. Once a riverbank is there, and then there's additional work to do for not the town, but for us and other organizations to like get plant growth in there, stabilize it with, so that at least when the water comes up, it's not washing everything away. So it's kind of like, it's normal flooding. So like, it'll happen in the spring, it'll happen in a
Right.
major event. We're not trying to prevent all flooding, we're trying to prevent just,
No, we get
But,
it.
you know, right now, we've
Yeah.
been flooded twice in December and a couple of times in April.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm talking about, like, it goes right across our driveway in front of the house and in front of the barn. And it's a river.
yeah, I mean, my property is basically a river now. Yeah, so,
I mean, so my parents live at the bottom of Millbrook and absolutely, like, I've never seen, I lived there my whole life and I've never seen anything like that, but that
Yeah.
was amazing. So
So
we gotta figure out, the challenge comes down to, the town share.
of the 25.
Or the 25% and how we do it.
Mhm.
What do you think is fair?
I mean, I think honestly, at this point, we would take any support if you would be willing to put in 25% of the 25% share. If that makes any sense, that would be a huge help.
$4,000 out of the 12 or something,
Yeah,
Well, and the town,
$3,000 out of the 12.
right,
well, and the other thing is the town, because the town would be the one effectuating the grant, can apply for administrative assistance too, which is,
But I read only up to 1,500, I think. I read.
yeah, but it's still, it's 1,500, you know, then that can also help pay for us above and beyond the 25%.
How many people do you have that you're working with that will pitch in for the rest?
I think, there's at least 3 households, I think that would, and then we reach out to our neighbors. I mean, I kind of wish more people had showed up to these meetings, because everyone asks me when they are, I tell them, but people can't make it. You know, so I think,
First
you know,
evening in
I-
a while, you know?
yeah, I do think we would get some support from our neighbors. But I don't know how much, and I don't know. And I'm so like, I wish I had seen the page with it, so I didn't even know what dollar values we were looking
Yeah,
at.
and that's why we require an MOU.
Yeah,
Mm.
understandable,
Mhm.
that's, yeah, and
Mhm.
I don't think we ever thought we would not, certainly not contribute, it's just like. You know, whatever the town can do to support it,
you know,
including
Michael-
the grant writing. and all that
Michael's
stuff.
really good. I mean, he's very helpful. And the fact that, you know, the EWP is going to do the engineering. And
Yes, yeah.
and that's also a huge.
It's gonna make it much faster. The other thing, I mean, and this is the crazy thing about it too, is the reality is a lot of these grant funds I think are still frozen. So I think that actually, I work for a company that does some similar business models, and we're dealing with some of that funding as well, where we're planning on how do we get the work done we have to get done once these funds come available. So I think it's one of the main reasons that this project even potentially on their radar as a priority, because what Michael said to me when he was visiting was that it's a fairly simple project to engineer and simple to implement. So they could get it done by the end of the year.
Good.
So I think they're gonna be motivated to do it if those funds get unfrozen. If they don't, then we're all just kind of like, see what happens.
Yeah.
But I think that worked out for us. I'm not sure this project would have necessarily been big enough for them under normal circumstances, but I think they're gonna be looking for projects to move money before they risk losing it if the administration tries to not allow them to roll it over, that kind of stuff, so.
Now, one of the things that is in the application, assurance number 14, is that, because it appears that you are in special flood hazard zone in there, but, you know, you talked about the spring flooding and stuff, because you're, the people impacted carry flood insurance because that's required.
I do not, but I certainly, well, hopefully could.
Yeah, because it's, assurance number 14, in the application.
Would now, I have a certificate from FEMA that says I'm not in the flood zone. I don't know if that
Yeah,
impacts
like, flood
anything.
insurance is weird. You either have to get it or you can't get it.
I believe that Wendy couldn't get it.
I think it's,
Well,
I don't have a ton of experience with it,
Yeah.
but from what I've heard, like you either qualify for it or you don't, and it seems like you have to get it or you're not allowed to get it,
Mhm.
is what little like.
yeah, I mean, that's the language, that's why I just asked, but it says you will comply with flood insurance purchase requirements in section 102A of the Flood Disaster Protection Act of 1973,
Oh.
which requires recipients in a special flood hazard area. And since you have your thing that says you're not, I guess you're okay.
That's probably the loophole right there. If
In the
they're
program,
part
if
of
the
a
purchase-
special flood hazard
um,
area.
But if it requires recipients in the special flood hazard area to participate in the program and to purchase flood insurance at the total cost of insurable construction and acquisition is more than $10,000, and this is a $50,000 project. So that's why I thought I'd ask, if anybody has, is officially in the floodplain, it's important to make sure those neighbors have flood insurance, and so you don't get kicked out for some strange little.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's something for them, them to think about.
Yeah.
Because, some of that is natural flood area. And there are new FEMA maps being worked on right now, that people are talking about.
Yeah, I'm not,
I'll tell you what my opinion is. I don't know what the opinion of the board is. We only have 2 of the 3 tonight. I'd like to help some. I think it probably will help us in the long run if we can do that. And, but the other side of me is worried about setting a precedence of, if we help them, then the next one, but I think I'd like to help a little bit, not do the whole 25%, something around the 25 or 30% of it seems like it's kind of tough, I mean, it's situationally, the other one had a whole bunch of units very close that were, there was an established association that had, like it was it's very similar, but also, each situation is a little bit unique and, this one is, a couple, 4 or 5 neighbors just trying to not have their houses flooded, so I'm a little torn on between the 2.
I agree. I think that it's worthwhile for the town to help, and I think what makes your precedent is the fact that this impacts town roads.
Yeah.
And,
True. The other one did not at
the other
all.
one did not, and the only reason we did the, historical, building, one is because it's iconic to the town, and 2, at that point, they didn't, we didn't think that they could hold it together to protect the building. So I think 25%
Of the 25%,
of the 25% makes sense.
it's 3,131.
So if we think we have a decent shot at getting that 1,500, would you consider going to like maybe 4 or 5? Then the town would really only be covering maybe 3,000 and then we could get the 1,500 from that administrative
Sure.
piece of it. And so maybe somewhere around 5. So I think tonight we would ask Paula to draw up an MOU that stated something loosely around that, and then we could approve it, or we could put it up for a vote at the next one, or how does that work? I do think Jim had a question, so we're not ready to, yeah, but
I think that makes sense, because it took us multiple iterations on the last one.
we're gonna get it the first shot this time though. 'Cause we're gonna come to an agreement here.
that's how legal agreements always work.
Yeah.
So
Go
do 5, you're saying 5?
Watched you guys struggle with this and similar opportunities in the past. And as a planner, I think in terms of having a template that takes you through questions and answers, because the town always needs to be the sponsor in order to get at the funds and to give permission to allow the public right of way to be involved. So, and that happens all the time. So if we build a template that says this is how this works, the second thing is the town can be a source of cash flow and then amortize the burden that's placed on the participants. So you come out to somebody who just lost their job because of something that happened in Washington and you ask them for $5,000, you're probably not going to get as good as a response if you say, we'll in effect create a home equity opportunity for you and we'll finance this at the cost of the town's money plus 0.5%, whatever, and
You charge them $500 a
you
year or
guys
something
got a
like that.
lien
Yeah.
because, and then they pay it in, and it doesn't need to be super complicated, but you're gonna see more of this. And so I define this as a public-private partnership because you're the only one who can get to the grant. You're the only one who has the cash flow to be able to help it. You've got the insurance, and it may turn out, if you look at what was read here tonight, you could be a possible source of hauling aggregates or taking waste that could be then used someplace else. So if this all gets written down and you put a little project team together and we say, here's our template. Every time you come to us, you have to fill out this template. And then it makes it easier for Paula to actually do it. The people understand it. It removes emotion from the formula. And one of the things I would say, just observing this and dealing with stormwater all the time, that people who are in proximity to this type of situation should submit to a hydrological study to identify how to reduce the amount of peaking water that's arriving into that system. And every single one of us, most particularly the town, should be looking at every water course and saying, how can we reduce the peaking water here? Because there's two things, the volume of the water and the speed of the water. You always want to reduce its speed and you want to level its volume. It's not that the system can't hold the water, it can't hold 90% of the water in 2 hours. And if we don't look at that problem that way, then the town's going to lose a lot of infrastructure. And I think Santa Claus is on leave of absence from Washington, and that's putting him in a very bad situation. So if we don't get smart, maybe a little artificial intelligence.
It's a good point. Thanks, Jim. So do I have that right? There's not much we can approve tonight without, because we would need an MOU to understand.
No, you could approve the process, but
Okay.
require an MOU.
Okay. Okay, so before we get into making a motion, what's your thought on, your neighbors? I know you were hoping they'd come. Do you think if we do something close to like what we said, that would be agreeable, that they would be able to come up with the remainder of the 12,000?
What number, what are you gonna ask them to do?
Good question.
Because that should be part of the motion then. Because that's what we did with the MOU. but,
12,524 is the total 25%. What are you looking for the town?
5.
Okay,
Now, the hope out of that 5, for the record, is that we get that 1,500 from the administration of it. That has nothing to do with them. That's on us to apply for, and we get it or we don't. It'd be nice if we had an idea of what the likelihood, I always see these things and I'm like, cool, we can get it. What's the likelihood? 5% chance, 95%, they never include that, which I understand, but.
so the remaining is 7,524.
So if we sent you back with that and we said we come
I
Come
think
that
it's a
far.
much more manageable number than we've been looking at otherwise. So yes, I think that is something that we can work with.
I suggest you round up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is my interpretation of this correct in that we have been awarded the grant?
No,
Oh,
we gotta
we have-
apply for the grant.
Oh, this
So
is
yeah,
still
so this is all
application.
just
Yes,
Oh, okay.
on a hope
Yeah.
and a prayer that money gets released. and
no,
we
no,
get
we did,
selected.
remember we did a letter of support.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was the first thing.
yeah.
And then they came back and they declined that grant process or no, it wasn't really a grant. It was, they said that it was too late or something, I think
Well,
it
so yeah,
was.
there was a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah.
It was late, but then also when they looked at Stacy's original plan, they're like, this isn't
Right.
really what we do, but let us look at the site. And Michael came out and he looked
Yep.
at it, and he's like, okay, this would be what we do if we want to approach it like this,
Yep.
and that would be more effective. If you kind of did what's just what Stacy said, it probably wouldn't work anyway. So
Right.
yeah,
Fact
it's
is,
been a
he's the
thing.
One who figured out how much it was gonna cost and.
Yeah.
Yes.
And said you're
Yeah,
eligible. this is
Yep.
what
sorry,
you should
I
do.
misunderstood.
Yep,
For
yep.
some reason, I thought we had applied and
No.
then it came back and we had a.
No,
Right.
we had,
So
this is to,
This is to approve the application of it under
Mhm.
the term that we just.
Exactly.
Okay.
yes.
Again, I'd love to know the odds of getting it.
Who knows anything?
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah,
the odds of funds getting released.
Right.
Then, like,
Yeah, I hear it. Okay, all right, I'm with you now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, I make a motion that the town be a grants officer for the, we're calling it Health for Jericho residents on Nashville Road. Grant, prove the, we covered, apply for a grant for $50,096,000 with an MOU that the town is only responsible for $5,000. And that they ask for the administrative, cost share as well.
Hi, this is Tucker Andrews. Sorry, to jump in right now, but can you talk for a sec? I'm actually live just upstream on Nashville Road. I'm the farmer that grows vegetables in Patrick Reed's field and Wendy's field. So I have a stake in it, but I don't live in Jericho. Can you talk for a moment about the town's capacity to do some of the work?
I don't know, based on this grant, that the way that that it was written from, I mean, I would much rather donate
Mhm.
town labor than I would money. I'll state that up front personally. But the way this is read, it doesn't seem like it would be town, it would seem like was it EC?
EWP, yeah,
EWP
so.
would be doing it.
From my understanding, Tucker, talking to Michael, they have taken a lot of this, certainly the planning in-house and the engineering.
Yeah.
They had worked with subcontractors in the past and it really slowed everything down, so they've stopped doing that. The work, I don't know if that's also all self-contained or not, because I assume it's somewhat specialized. I think,
Right.
Mhm.
Jim may have mentioned, like, there may be the capacity, like, maybe we can work out, like, trucking away material, and if that's beneficial to the town, I'd certainly rather stuff stay here and we use it on roads or whatever.
Mm.
But I don't know that there's a lot of capacity for
Yeah,
the town to do labor.
Yeah, because they do the bid, they put out the bid
Right.
for the job.
Okay.
I think you may want to inquire about that with Mike, because in my conversations with him and Allison Hook, the engineer, it seems possible when we went through this process in the town of Bolton for our property, that the town would be able to provide some in kind for that.
Yeah, we have done that before with grants, but
We just,
so I
we
would
just
say
get
we'll
money right now.
I would say we'll do it if we
Right.
if we have the opportunity to provide work instead of
It all
cash, we
depends.
we will do that if they let us count that, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I will second your motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Paul, do you mind reaching out to Mike about the in-kind questions?
Yes.
Because they really
Yep.
prefer talking to you than us.
Yep, I will definitely.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Pat.
Consider approval of the local emergency management plan.
Yes, this plan has to be updated annually.
Yep.
And it's just walks through the coordinators, who the coordinators are. Oh, you
Got
got
it.
it.
So,
Kind of sets
I got it.
sets up, in case of an emergency, Vermont Emergency Management will they have this on file as well. So every year we go through and we double check, with the schools, with the fire department, to make sure everything is up to date and that all information for emergency management is in there.
I have a question. Is
Yeah.
Pastor Arnold Thomas retired? Why is he listed for the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church daycare?
Because of the fact that we could not locate anybody else for that.
Cause he's retired. I don't know if he's even.
I
here.
know, right? Same. We cannot get a hold of anybody. So we left that one.
Where
Yeah,
did you see that?
yeah, his name shouldn't be
It's-
there, then it should be blank or something at this point, because if he's not even here, I mean.
Do we know if he's
I
not
know
here?
he's totally retired, and I'm not sure where he is right now.
He is on page,
Page 5 of that particular packet.
5, yes. Yeah, I can just cross out his name. We can cross out his name
Yeah.
on that form if you
Yeah,
want,
I'll
Eric.
reach out to the pastor there and find out.
Yep,
Reach out to the pastor with Good Shepherd Lutheran.
sure.
I mean, that's probably easiest, because
Yeah,
all those pastors are talking to each other now because of the situation.
Yeah.
From Washington.
okay.
Is the number, looks like a home number.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, we could, yep.
And then every year, this is my thing for years and years and years.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna say, given all the things that have happened when they have these major, when people have to evacuate, or for some reason, they often don't go because they don't want to leave their pets behind.
I have that on, we talked to Harry about that, so it was interesting because of the fact that I don't really know, and he didn't know either, that whether the schools do or don't.
Because
So,
Matt kept saying, oh yeah, Browns River does.
mhm,
It's
right.
never been Xed off.
Yeah,
or
that is
allowed.
on one of our lists that, with Harry that we're discussing, trying to figure that out, so,
Well, good, because I mean, people do not want to leave
Yeah.
sometimes because of their.
of
pets.
course they do.
I see you have me listed as the alternate. point of
Yes,
Contact.
yeah.
You're not here.
Yeah, but
So what are the odds that it's an emergency? It happens between I forget how many hours you're working in.
Right.
Maybe 14 hours a week or
Uh-huh,
something. So
uh-huh.
is it basically, am I like the main point of contact as the select board chair? I did not realize that.
you betcha.
That's fine.
Fortunately, I
We
never-
did
I
sign
never
up,
had to-
Harry came in and he discussed that. We did sign up, to, like, he had a couple of programs, Vermont Alert, which was, we weren't part of, which was a good program to be part
Oh, yeah.
of. So
It was here.
we're on that now and we're all set up.
So I didn't realize the town was.
Yeah, I
You
know.
can get Vermont alerts on your phone.
Yeah, right. Yep. Okay,
Do I just sign it or do we need? a
you
motion?
sign it and you need a motion.
I need a motion. All right. I make a motion to approve the updated local emergency management plan for 2025.
I will second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are flying right along here. with
You
this
are,
agenda.
I'll take that one though, when you're done.
Yes.
Perfect. And this is the next one.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Next on the agenda is the appointment of the Jericho Town Fire Warden. It looks like the proposal is to appoint Todd Fisher for a term that expires June 30th, 2030.
Yep. He came in and signed the paper, the one that you have, and he's agreed to it, so we just need to officially appoint him.
We just need two of us signing this one, or all of us, or?
You can do two, whoever's here. You sign as the chair and Catherine can sign as the member.
I make a motion to appoint Todd Fisher as the Jericho Town Fire Warden for a 5-year term that expires June 30th, 2030.
I second that. All those in favor say aye.
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 Oh, yeah, Catherine needs to sign that one too.
I wish I had a better signature. I really do. Not I can do better now, I don't think.
Right.
I think you're a doctor.
True. So the next on the agenda is to approve the letter of intent to participate in the municipal roads grants and aid program.
Yes, this is another one that every year we have to fill out and we get monies towards fixing roads that are hydrologically connected. So, and I don't know if you want to pull up that map, it'd be
Yeah,
kind of
sorry, I
cool.
could ask I had asked Paula for a
It'd
map.
be
on
pretty
this,
neat to
I think
see.
that's good.
and I
Yes.
didn't notice that she sent it to me until just as the meeting started, so, give me a minute, I'd like to just pull it up.
It would be interesting to see, and you see a lot of the,
While he's doing that, why don't you talk about what, you know,
yeah, so one of the ones that we are working on to get it all connected is Nashville Road. We've been working on that one last year and this year to get that all up to par, that meets the standards. You'll see when he brings up the map that, there's different colors. There's a gray. Those roads, we don't, or that portion, they're not particularly, we don't have to worry about those, that they're not hydrologically, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll take a little bit for it to come in. You have to wait.
2030.
Exactly. It'll be a minute, just 'cause it takes forever for it to come up. But you'll see, this is what we do every year. We go through and work with Jacob on picking a particular gravel road to work on every year, and we get funds from the MRGP program, which is like, usually it's around like 18,000, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I was, going to ask, so it's on the record, how we're doing for the hydrologically connected roads being allowed, being, to meet the deadline for best practices of 2020.
Right.
Priorities.
It'll,
Now,
you
is
can't
one
do
of this
that. You
gonna-
can't,
you think
you can't
so?
scream in it, because that's what I did too. Linda's like, leave it alone.
Can you-
Give it a minute. It takes a few minutes. Yeah, so,
So I have a couple questions.
okay,
I know, oh, wow, look at that.
see, there,
Okay.
it's gonna take you. And you can see a lot of the green, which means that we're up to standards. We meet the standards. The purple and orange are the ones that we'll need to work with. You can like scroll in a little bit, Eric, and you can pick up a lot of right into Jared. Yep, scroll in and see there
Well,
are,
purple.
yep, there is orange in there too, but
You can slide that TV a little closer. so-
yeah, if you want, yeah, if you guys can pull it.
Plus you also, this really says now that you have a screen that reflects, you need curtains on this.
I know, for
Yeah.
sure.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so you
Not
can
that we
see
either.
in Jericho, there's some orange, there's the purples. I
Yeah.
mean, if you scroll in a little bit more, it picks it up even more.
Okay.
But yeah, so those are the roads that, like the orange right there where you are, that does not, that means it's partially up to standards.
So you need to still do work there
The purple does not meet the standards, and that's where you gotta work on.
for 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Probably see the road name. It
Uh,
looks like Plains Road, I would guess.
not sure where you are.
That's Mount Mansfield there.
Okay, yep.
I mean, I think this is mostly a formality that we always just
Yes,
approve this. Here's my concern.
yep,
Silly Hill. Silly Hill met all of the standards
well,
of the specs.
mm-hmm,
And it was very upsetting to the residents that use it and walk down it. It
Yeah.
Caused a lot of issues.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily hydrologically connected either.
right, yeah,
It was
I,
just the road.
So,
Issues.
yeah,
so I guess I wanna. I mean, I think we should do it, but I'd like to find a way that we, which road would we be doing next?
right now we're on Nashville. I don't know what Jacob has, for this next part. This is just a letter of intent to make sure if we do something that we will get the money for
Okay.
it.
Gotcha.
So
it's not-
this
it's not
is for the-
already Decided like, okay, we're gonna go do.
Right, that's the
this
one that
up
he's
here.
working on for this fiscal year is Nashville Road.
That's because it really has most, good chunk of the road is hydrologically connected.
Mm-hmm,
Which one?
Nashville.
Almost a good
And
chunk.
what is
Yeah.
that? Can you, for lay people, what does that mean? Connected to what? Like,
Essentially, it's in the same water table.
Right.
okay,
That's the issue.
Okay,
And it connects the streams to, and it goes into the lake then, so it's a way to, the idea was, it's a way of keeping more phosphorus out of the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And the RPC has done the studies to tell us which hydrologically connected roads are the most important ones to do. And they have the program that the town has received that tells us which ones that are the important ones to meet by 2025. But they do recommend that all roads meet that standard by 2036.
Right,
okay.
right, exactly.
So does this map only show roads that count as hydrologically connected?
That's, yep, it will just
Like,
show
looks like
what
there's
we
roads
need.
over here.
Right, none of those are involved in that.
Okay,
Just the ones that are showing up in the colors.
Okay.
Yep. And Jacob has this map on his iPad, so when he goes out and he works on one of those roads, he clicks on it and says that he's updated it, and then it will eventually change to like green or whatever's.
and will they come out and inspect that the ditches are the right depth? and
Yes, the
lined
RPC
and-
does.
Yes,
Okay.
yep. Yep,
Come out and say, oh, okay, you get another. gold
right,
star.
exactly.
They-
Yep.
Cool, okay.
Yep.
Thank you for that education. Those were my questions about it.
Yeah, I think it is pretty informative. It's pretty interesting to see that.
So I, take a motion to approve and sign the municipal roads down in permit letter of intent for 2020. Did I get that?
Here you go, Eric. That's for you to sign.
It's 26.
For 26. For fiscal year 2026.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Where do you want this signature? Oh, right
Yeah, your name would get to be on all kinds of papers.
there.
Mm-hmm, he
I
will.
wonder if you could like go take a class, like improve my signature, and they just make you do it over and over. I feel like I really need to do that. When I got sworn in or whatever you had to sign, you know, I showed my wife and she's like, your signature is so bad. I'm like, not congratulations, you're the select board, just.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Boy, we are flying tonight, Kat. Maybe Peter's the problem. Review and consider approval of the purchase of a backhoe and Ford 600 for FY 26.
Yes, we had this in the budget,
Yep.
that got approved. And so we have our old backhoe is pretty old, yeah. And so we're working with Beauregard. We had gotten three quotes, actually two, I'm sorry. There was Beauregard and John Deere. And Beauregard seemed to be the best one to go with, and they gave us more for the trade-in. Yep. So the total for the backhoe, it'd be a new 2024 case backhoe. The total cost is 163,600, less the trade-in of 19,700, for a total of 143,900, which includes the extended warranty. As for the Ford 600, this is something new that Jacob thought would be better suited. It's a smaller truck, it's not a tandem, and it would better suit more areas like the cul-de-sacs and things.
Less expensive.
Huh?
It's less expensive.
Right, yeah, yeah. And so there is no trade-in on this. So you'll see, yeah, but way, yeah, lower than that. Yep. Yeah.
Right, but so we have whatever, 5.
Like 4 tandems, yeah.
So this is an additional. truck.
Right, this will be an additional, however, the low pro is what's up next to trade in. And we're kind of off on the vehicle replacement plan because of, a
Yep.
couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But that being said, we have the low pro and a tandem that could potentially either we trade in both of those for a new tandem when the time comes, or we sell the low pro outright and get the money for it and put it back into the budget or whatever. So there's options for that. So we're this will be an added truck.
Now, what's interesting, I noticed, our financing agent is a totally different one than we're used to using. So, but what happened to, usually it's Kansas City or whatever.
We
Kansas
went to
State.
all of them. We went to Kansas State, we went to Municipal Loan Fund, we went to, there was a bank called Huntington Bank, and then Northfield Savings. And Northfield Savings actually came back to us and reduced their interest rate. And they
Wow.
were the lowest. And I ran this through the treasurer, Brian Stevens, and he said, yeah, that would be the one to go with, Northfield Savings.
Oh, that's good that they actually, I mean, it's nice to be able to use local companies.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
you always want to make sure that.
Yep.
You're not doing it just because.
for sure. Yep.
Quickly, Jim, briefly.
I'm a stickler on these things. I think the devil is in the detail and that we get the cart in front of the horse. I own one of these or two of them.
Which one? The backhoe?
I have 3 dump trucks, 2 backhoes, excavator, and the devil is in the detail as to, and I'll give you an example. One of the things that frustrates me as I drive around Jericho is the lack of care of shoulders. We're severely damaging the paved roads. And if we're gonna buy a piece of equipment that's gonna last potentially 10 years, we need to make sure that it's got the plumbing to run the right accessories. We need to know that it's got the pushing power, the carry power, and all of those things to meet the needs. And if we've got 2 years before it comes, someone needs to spend the time before we make a commitment, defining exactly what it is that we need. And I'll use an example. If I'm buying a backhoe and I've got the responsibility to maintain the shoulders, then one of the things that would be very convenient is to have a side dump bucket so that I can drive down Barber Farm Road and deposit the gravel in the ravine that's beside the road that's eroding underneath the road. It's been at least 2 years since that was done.
Does this have a side dump
And-
bucket? I don't even know what
and
side
I
dump
can-
bucket is.
I can also buy a dump truck that's got a
don't know.
multi-angle body so that it can dump sideways or it can dump off the back because it's got a programmable tilt that goes one way. I also have a dump truck that has the sides that come down, which makes it really easy to put tools and stuff onto the sides. So the devil is in the detail. And what I see constantly, not just here, is that the guys that I work with all the time that buy these machines, this is an art form. And they work really hard at making sure that they're getting the piece of equipment that's going to reduce the risk of hazard, that's going to do the work fast, and it's going to be durable and last for a long period of time. And
Okay, thanks, Jim. I was kind of hoping that were gonna congratulate us because you've been telling us for like 5 years that we need to get a smaller truck. And we're doing it. I thought you were gonna be like, thank you finally for listening, but okay, but that's what I heard, but.
Well, I think you need a single axle 4-wheel drive. I don't even know whether you're proposing a 4-wheel drive truck. But a 2-wheel drive dump
Is it
truck.
tandem? Or is it, I guess I don't know.
A tandem is 2 rear.
No,
axles.
it's not a tandem.
The trimax
Yeah,
is
It's not,
2 wheels.
it's not.
And then only is a tandem with a 3rd axle that goes down hydraulic.
Well, yeah, I know what an F-350 is, I know what an F-450 is, I just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, what was the total on the?
So the total on the Ford 600 was 122,785.
Two
Two
If you're
different
ready.
ones.
Okay.
Yep.
two different motions, or?
Yeah, why not? I make a motion to approve the purchase of a 2024 case backhoe for $143,900.
I second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. I make a motion to approve the purchasing of Ford 600 truck from Heritage Ford for $122,705 with the extended warranty.
785 is what I said.
85 and with the plow.
Yep, so that, that number is 122,785. I second that motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Sometimes the tongue.
Yeah, I know.
The brain is faster
For
than the
sure.
tongue.
I know. That's why I wrote it down, was reading it. So the next thing on the agenda is the discussion of the additional 30,000 for, well, what's written here is safety in town, but the motion that was made at the town meeting reimagined specifically to address speeding.
Right.
And so this is really more of a discussion of ways that we could use that. And we can, probably the discussion should happen again.
Yeah, I agree.
later,
I agree. Mhm.
But I don't know if you have suggestions from Tyler or anything that he's brought up, or road crew, or.
Well, I mean, it's also sort of about public safety, because speeding is part of it, but.
Right.
You have the raceway folks who said, how about just using some of their signs, that, you know, be careful, pedestrian, you know, be careful pedestrians, walkers, you know, whatever, you know, share the road kind of stuff. I mean, that's certainly something that could be used.
So maybe, we should have this on the next agenda item when Peter can make it, and maybe we just see if we can get. I always defer to Tyler. I like.
Yeah.
one of the
Oh, yeah,
experts
for
and,
sure.
You know, what are his thoughts? I guess the next comment I can make from select board updates, but, so maybe we'll do that. We'll just roll that to the next,
Yep.
agenda item. The next
I mean, yeah,
select board meeting, which is on May 1st.
because some of the basic things are, you know, what I just said, with signage. The others is, you know, we could relook at the ordinances we have in terms of, speeding, things like that, you know, or, also, you know, maybe buy a few more signs of the electronic radar signs.
Yeah.
We do have those out actually in the updates.
Remember
We
my
have those
thing?
out.
Okay. Next up is select board updates. So I was just gonna ask on that same subject, did we hear back from Tyler on? We had asked that Tyler go out and give us an update. what
On
his
Raceway.
Recommendations are for Raceway.
Nope, he's still working on that.
Okay,
I've spoken to Tyler today, so
okay.
he's out.
So yeah, maybe get his take on
Yep.
what he thinks is the smartest thing to do to help sort of a general problem of people driving too fast through town, see what ideas he has.
Mhm.
I know Jim's got ideas. 1 minute.
We have a conservation commission, we have all these other commissions, but the principal thing in terms of public safety in the community is to make sure that the kids and the people who want to walk on the roads are safe. I think you should sponsor a process which defines a commission that's going to look at this. Because there's a defined process as to how we calm things down. If you remember, after the girl got killed down here on 15, we had a big powwow with the state. 2 weeks later, the speed limit, which should have been dropped long before that, got dropped.
That's because we went to the state transportation board. I was part of that committee.
I understand, but the bottom line is, it already met the criteria to be below 35 miles an hour because it didn't meet any standards. The sidewalks weren't up to standards, the road entrances, none of them complied. And you had a lot of busyness and you wanted to encourage pedestrian activity walking across the road. Those are the criteria for this. And it's not that hard to sit there and say, and let's take Raceway. I walked there with the people that live there. It's got a 35 mile an hour speed limit at 15. That's insane. So if we adapt a group of people who help you.
I don't really want another committee. We have so many committees on so many things. I think I trust our highway guys. I trust our orange book, and I trust, you know, we have enough people. I hear you, and we understand that the town made it clear by putting their checkbook where their mouth is that they wanted to do this, but I respectfully disagree that a committee is going to be better. I think we need to.
I'm suggesting that the people who actually walk the roads are not in the town trucks. The people who do all this stuff, if it was feasible for it to be done, it would already have been done. And there's a great opportunity because let's just take the grand list. The safer and more walkable Jericho is, and the more the people feel comfortable in their front yards and walking around, the greater the value is, the fair market value of their homes. If they're intimidated. But the other thing is we use less cars. This stuff is dealt with all over the place. And if you pull a couple people who know what they're doing and they give you a report,
Okay.
just
okay,
like we had for the
Mhm.
rivers.
We need to be, yeah, even though we're going quickly, we need to be fair and like, but I
But
heard,
if you wanna do
we can talk
something-
about a commission as part of the next discussion as a possibility. I'm telling you, I would not be
We
in
also
favor,
have
but
the
maybe,
RPC,
there are other-
who's very active in transportation planning.
Mhm.
right.
Do you have more updates?
That was the update I was interested in. I don't have notes on update, but I might think of something as you guys go on. So
Okay.
go ahead.
We have a Jericho Energy Task Force meeting on April 21st at 7 p.m. by Zoom. And Ann Jenda, the Senior Energy Project Manager of the CRPC, is going to be attending our meeting. And she's going to present for discussion possible high impact and supportive actions the task force can take to implement from the energy plan, our enhanced energy plan that we had. And it also acts as a climate action plan. Included is in the foundation is her presentation to the energy committees on RBs, which is the regional plan, residential building energy standards. So she will be there on Monday for people who are interested in attending that meeting. Just you got to contact me and I give you a Zoom link. And at last night's meeting, the RPC board had another discussion presentation of both the housing targets and the future land use maps, including feedback already received. Our select board is going to have a presentation here in May. But the public is encouraged to look at the maps, they're interactive, and targets to provide feedback if interested before May 19th. And these are available at the CCRPC website right on the front page so that people can look at the future land use maps and move it around and see what you want to do with it, things like that, and make comments. And then after the 19th of May, the RPC staff is going to consider all the input and finalize the targets and maps by September. And at this point, housing targets are not mandatory. And they also do not reflect affordability.
Mhm.
Which was one of the things we talked about last night. And they said, no, these are just targets came down from the state. And the other irony is that the rural part of the state is much concerned that they're being left behind. But because of the way they've divvied up the housing targets, Chittenden County gets even a higher percentage of the houses that we would build.
For the record, Catherine mentioned the website. It is ccrpcvt.org, just for the minutes of somebody.
Thank you. I should have done that.
That's all right. I just
That's
thought of
good,
it.
because you're just right there with that on. But did you see it right on the side there, that it's really easy to access?
Is that all you have?
That's all I have, because I talked about this last week. I mean, we're not gonna have a reception until May sometime. They still have a few more things to put out.
I have a,
Wait, did the shows come in yet?
I don't think so. I was gonna ask Linda about that today. We found one and I told her to order it, so
Yeah.
hopefully they come
Good.
in soon.
Yeah, so I want to get out the polar bears, they're so cute.
Yep. I have a few things, and I said to Peter, I would mention this. We talked about this at the last select board meeting about the 5-member select board. Yep.
At
So
this point,
what's that?
it's just a vote at this point.
Right.
That's right.
So we do have, and we will, that it will be coming up, we will warn it on the May 1st select board meeting that the vote will be on June 3rd. And that is to vote whether or not to have a 5-member select board. Also, I have, I just wanted to give an update on sidewalks. We just heard today Riverside Sidewalk from V-Trans, they granted the construction. So we're going to be moving forward with the construction of the Riverside Sidewalk this year. So that'll
Yeah,
be
great.
great.
Like this summer.
I like the fact that too, that you already put out the signs for Brown's Trade.
Yeah, I thought it would be good. I feel like that, I know it's gonna cost a little bit for the signs, but Front Porch Forum, I feel gets out there, but not to everybody, and I'd like to have people, oh, good.
That is a huge impact.
Yeah,
So knowing ahead of time, at least I won't be surprised.
right.
Nothing to do about it, but like, that was much appreciated.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was
That
talking with people and there were so many people that didn't know. I'm like, oh God, like.
Right,
My uncle lived on Fitzsimons. I'm like. oh,
yeah,
You're gonna have a little traffic.
right.
You're gonna have a little traffic. I was so it did work because I was driving by with my daughter and she's like, ah. As if she drives, you know, she's 12. So she was, I'm like, so, you know, I actually was one of the ones that asked for that sign to be out there ahead of time.
Yes,
Like, see how it's not.
exactly.
I was a little surprised that it said it's going until September 19th.
Yes,
Yes, it runs.
That's what they- and they're gonna be
Like,
coming
they
in
said-
at a future meeting, the second meeting in May. V-Trans is coming in to discuss updates on the bridge work. It was,
Talked about only being down
45
during
days, yeah.
school.
yeah. They had to give that extended date just to make sure,
It would be really nice if they could do it.
get it done before, yeah, they're gonna be coming, like I said, to the second select board meeting in May to give you an update on that. And also found out, I from from a resident that the information isn't online on our website for the V-Trans, and if it is, I couldn't find it. So I am gonna be updating, I'll have Sabina update that website with that, so. So moving forward, Lee River sidewalk, that is still in progress. We're waiting for the NEPA documentation. Yeah. So we're anticipating that to be coming in May. The MMU path, construction of the paved path and pedestrian bridge at the intersection of Brown's Trace and Ethan Allen, going to the MMU. It's actually not gonna be all the way to the parking lot. It's gonna be halfway. It's where they start the path.
Right, that's all.
Right now, we're looking into one of we looked at one engineer and it was really high, so we went back and we asked to get the next engineer on that. So we're meeting, Linda and I are meeting with Cy at CCRBC to go through that.
But what are the next steps? You get the engineering design,
Mhm.
and that's who you're meeting with to get an engineer for it, or? just
Yes,
get the-
Cy, it's the engineer. For MMU path, we're looking at Stan Tech, and CCRPC is the project manager for that. So.
Yeah, they're one of the preferred providers.
Yep. So that's for sidewalks. And then one other thing, which I just got, and I had Sabina posted online, is Don Toby was nominated and voted in as the 2025 Vermont Tree Steward Award recipient.
I thought that was cool.
I thought it was cool too. I thought it was cool too.
Mr. Toby.
Yeah. And we are working on the ash tree removal as well. Jacob and I met with Don and we're kind of working through where Jacob's gonna be or what he'd like to do for brush removal and tree removal, and where those sections contain those ash trees, Don's gonna go through and mark them and we'll take them down. And I think we're working right now, it's going to be tar box, plains, and shillhammer. So Don will be visiting those three areas and we'll be marking the trees that will come down.
That's really great.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
I don't think I have any updates.
You might ask Dean, since he came late, if there's anything he was looking for.
We missed the public to be heard section.
I just wanted to, yeah.
Did you,
I was just actually wondering about the 30,000, for safety.
yeah, what we decided is we're gonna move it to a time when Peter can be here, and we also asked for some input from our town engineer. And so we'll talk about that at the next one, and maybe we'll do it in a way that we'll take some short public comments on it, what they, you know, where they see using the money.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Which reminds me, did you find anything more out about that, the fencing in the center?
Jacob ordered the post and FE Hart Fence Company, and the guys are gonna pick it up on Monday.
Thank you.
What center?
In Jericho.
The wooden
Center,
fence
I
that's hidden
got,
by,
notified by a resident, several, actually a couple weeks ago, and Paul and I have been talking back and forth, that during the winter, on the sidewalk where we have the drop off and you have the
split rail.
split rail fencing, there's two broken poles. And,
On the,
it's on this, if you're going into the center from down from Lee River, going up.
it's on the right.
Yeah. Yeah, and, so I've, been saying, we're working on it, we're working on it, and I could say that polls have been ordered and.
Yep.
The road crew will work on it next week. So that's good, that's a good update too,
Great.
so lots of good updates.
Yes.
Okay, I've signed the warrants.
Okay,
I read through the minutes. I did not read through the ones that she sent out today, the joint meeting ones. I didn't get a
Yes.
chance to read those today.
I'm not sure if you want to table those or not. You can, because they came out late. So
I didn't see anything particularly,
if you want to, you can approve them. If there's nothing,
I don't think it would be fair. I haven't even opened them. I saw them
oh,
come
that's right,
through.
you haven't even opened them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
not here.
then that's fine. We'll just do the regular April 10th minutes.
So the April 10th, from 6:30 one. Well, the biggie to start with is that it says April 10th at 6 p.m.
Yep, 6:30.
6:30.
Yep.
Since we started at 6:32. But that was the biggest thing that, that I went with. I mean, it really, with the AI and Donna, I mean, things. Seemed like. Plus, it was really big print. I mean, granted, my eyes got doing far sight in this. None of the changes, you definitely need the readers, but this is a little excessive.
So there's nothing on the minutes except for that?
I don't see anything that,
Okay.
that would be a problem.
Okay, except for
Oh,
that
the
one.
only- See, yeah, because we changed the fur feathers and, the plastic people. Basically, the only thing, that it's not a thing in the minutes. But where Peter suggested we waive fees for permits for Palmer, that would have to be a motion item anyway.
Where's that?
I think he was just,
Oh, yeah, just
But Paul said you can
discussing.
let them know we will do that, but we can't do it until it's.
Right,
okay.
right. Okay,
Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Yes, I make a motion to accept the minutes of April 10th, 2025 with corrections and noted.
I second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have an executive session.
no,
Whoa.
do we?
Do we?
I don't have anything.
That's yours.
I don't have anything.
Can you
tonight.
hand that to Catherine?
Thank you. I don't have anything either. Michael.
No.
That's.
All right.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Holy.
I make a motion to adjourn. At 7:55.
I second that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned at 7:55
Whoa,
PM.
Thank
This is like
you.
a-
I love it.